Okay, students, so I just wanted to go over the soliloquy at the beginning of Act 2, Scene 1, where Macbeth is contemplating kind of whether he sees this dagger before he's heading into Duncan's room. So you all had to analyze the what I'm calling turning points for your first Google Classroom assignment. So if you've been having trouble with this assignment, then this is a great place to start. So I'm just going to go through kind of like what the soliloquy is saying, and maybe you'll get some ideas for what you can possibly add to your assignment. Soliloquy is broken up into 4 different pieces here, so I have space to kind of write on it and annotate it. So just keep in mind that you need to be following along with your selection. But it starts, just as a reminder, it starts off with, up to this point, Macbeth has seemed kind of hesitant to actually follow through on his plan to kill Duncan. Remember, it's been Lady Macbeth who's been the one who's really like pushing it, okay? She's trying to convince her husband to do this. We know that he definitely wants to be king. So Macbeth wants to be the king. He has the ambition, but he also is hesitant and nervous to betray his friend. Okay. Right? Okay, so I just wanted to show you some points where, it might be a little helpful to you to kind of look at these different pieces. So he starts off where he's kind of questioning whether or not he sees this dagger, and we're going to see that image come up a lot in this soliloquy. So he says, "Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still." So he's saying, I would like to be able to grab you, right? The handle is facing towards me, but I can't grab you, right? I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. So I'm seeing this dagger, but I can't grab it. And then this next piece where it says, "Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain?" So he's wondering here, right? This is one sort of question he's asking himself. He's changing his mind about whether he actually sees this dagger. So at first he thinks it's real and wonders why he's not able to get it, right? I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. But then he calls it a dagger of the mind, right? He thinks that he is sort of maybe going a little bit crazy here. So a heat-oppressed brain, one that he's imagining, all right? "I see thee yet in his form as palpable as this which now I draw." And when he's saying this which now I draw, he's actually talking about having his own dagger. So this one is the real dagger, and we can probably guess what he's going to do with that. He's going to use this dagger to kill Duncan. All right, so let's go to the next part of the speech. So then he says, "Thou marshallest me the way I was going." Okay, so this part is saying, thou is the dagger, right? He's speaking to the dagger. "Thou marshallest me the way which I was going." So this isn't really a turning point, but this is where he's saying that this dagger is leading him onward. And what is it leading him to do? To go kill Duncan, right? So he's sort of saying, this is taking me towards Duncan's bedroom. Maybe he's interpreting this as a sign, right? Is he doing the right thing here? "And such an instrument I was to use." Again, this is the same kind of dagger. Such an instrument is exactly what he would be using to kill King Duncan. Okay? Then, suddenly, he says, "Mine eyes are made the fools or the senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before." So here he's starting to see blood on the dagger. Right, he's starting to see that there. "There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes." So here he sees the dagger, he sees blood on the dagger, and then all of a sudden, again, he says, "There's no such thing." So he's changing his mind again here. So he says, no, there is no dagger, right? It is just the bloody business being Duncan's murder, or his plans to kill Duncan, that's trying to basically, in other words, he's wondering here if he's just feeling guilt for what he's about to do to his friend, right? The bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. I'm imagining this going on because I'm about to feel guilty. So we know already, we can see that he is kind of wishy-washy still, right? I see a dagger, I don't see a dagger. I see a dagger with blood on it, oh no, I'm just feeling really guilty. So we're continuing to see him kind of waffle back and forth between whether or not he really thinks that he sees this dagger, and then maybe whether or not he should still commit the murder. So let's go to the next section. So now he sort of gets into kind of this like wondering space. He says, now o'er half the one half world, nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offering. So Hecate would be, she's the queen of the witches, and she's a pagan goddess. And usually she's the goddess of like the earth. Okay? And withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel the wolf, whose howls his watch, thus with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design, moves like a ghost. So he's saying here, right, there's something moving around, there's something coming, and that something is probably him. We're going to move to the very end, and it says, thou sure and firm set earth, hear not my footsteps, but which way they walk, for fear thy very stones prate of my whereabout, and take the present honor from the time which now suits with it. Whiles I threat, he lives, words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. So in this part, he's kind of saying, he's begging the earth not to give away his position. Right? He's asking the earth to be quiet and not give away his footsteps as he goes to kill Duncan. So at the end here, we can see that he sort of convinced himself that he's doing the right thing. He wants to do this heat of deeds. And he uses words like sure and firm set, which sort of emphasizes how he's feeling at the end here. So hopefully this is helpful to you as you continue to analyze this section of the text. Feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. And I hope you guys are having a fun, safe, healthy start to your week.